Welcome to Boss Up Babes, helping babes show up, boss up, and thrive. With #1 best-selling author, global influencer, and ultimate boss babe, Carissa Adkins. Carissa is a health and wellness expert and CEO of the 365 Daily Hustle, here to help mompreneurs and career-focused women boss up and reclaim their healthiest life. She is a pro at cutting through the BS and inspiring massive breakthroughs that help women create healthy routines and habits that facilitate personal and professional growth. Are you ready to reclaim your best life, take action, and be a badass boss babe? Let's get to it.
What up, everyone? It's your favorite boss up babe, weight loss expert, and the queen of habit change. I'm your host, Carissa Atkins, and oh my gosh, do I have an amazing show for you today. You guys all know that the Boss Up Babes showcase, our show really focuses in on in-depth conversations. We're talking real strategies and real advice for women just like you and I, and just like my guests on today. Every single episode is packed with insight and motivation and inspiration and total empowerment. So you guys get ready to, just listen, to today's episode, because it's really going to, I feel like, really just touch your soul just a little bit. So I'm going to ask you all a question. And the question is, do you know your purpose? Have you figured that out yet? Do you know what it feels like now, to know that you may know what you want to do, but you just don't know how to step into it? Or do you know that you are stuck in this place and that you're meant for greater and bigger things, and you're just not sure how to totally shift into that better version of you and that better life and that better job and all that amazing stuff? I want you to seriously ask yourself those things. And if you don't know any of that, if you don't know how to step out of the overwhelm and step into your best self, then today's episode is going to be fantastic. I'm really excited to introduce my guest and great friend. Today, I'm doing an exclusive interview with Jen. And Jen helps women who are brilliantly successful in their lives, their business, and in their careers, but they still feel unhappy, and they really do need to tap into their inner knowing and strength to create a life of purpose and impact. She offers unique coaching experiences, and Jen combines her certifications in numerous energetic and healing practices with the foundation of providing over 20 years of clinical psychotherapy as a clinical social worker. You guys, I told you she's an amazing boss babe. She not only combines psychology, but pairs that with personal growth, spirituality, and energy work, and helps her clients boss up to the next level of awesomeness. With that, Jen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sister. I'm so excited to be here. I just love hanging out with you anytime. So
anytime. Oh yeah. And sometimes I'm like, I wish I lived closer to Jen. I would just love to have a glass of wine or something.
For sure would. You know it, sister. We would be outside when the weather permits, because where I live in the Midwest, it's cold still, but we would absolutely have an awesome time hanging out.
Yeah, girl. Well, one day that'll happen. I know with you and
absolutely
magic, it'll happen. So, Jen, I like to start off every show with a question of the day, and every question is kind of different. But this one, I really, I wanted to go back to my roots. I used to ask this question a lot with my first guest, and the question is, what does the word boss up mean to you?
Oh, that's a good one. Boss up to me means standing in your power. And really giving yourself permission to do that. I think that unfortunately, as women, sometimes we do need to give ourselves permission. We live in a world that's sort of trained us to ask for things. And I know one of the things that I respect and love about you is that you're sort of like, I'm going to do, and I'll ask for permission later, apologize later, which I really enjoy. There's something so refreshing about women that are able to just stand in that place of empowered decision-making. And that's something we need more of. And that's another tool that's going to be really important to standing in your purpose as well. But for me, it's definitely standing in your power and knowing what that power is. I think one of the struggles women also can have sometimes is not even knowing how to identify what really makes them unique and talented. And so for me, that's one of the things that I love doing with my coaching clients as well, is to make sure that by the end of our work, they're able to stand hands on hips, heart forward, and feel so 150,000% confident in who they are and what they're offering the world. And so so bossing up is what I'm helping women that I work with to do.
Oh, and you're not hoping anything, girl. I see you, I track you, I stalk you, and like the transformations that you're bringing to your clients are phenomenal, and they're life changing. Like truly, you cannot put a price tag when we see our clients go from one area of stuckness and boss up to that next level. You guys, that is why we do what we do. Not everyone is called to mentor, and not everyone can coach. You know, some people are in it just for the money, but when you have that passion and that energy, and and then you're in full alignment yourself, it just makes what you do so rewarding. So kudos on the practice that you've built and how you stand in your power, for sure. Someone, always asks me that when they ask the question of, Carissa, how do you stand up like that for yourself? How do you unapologetically say what you want to say, do what you want to do?
Yes.
And I think the biggest thing is obviously through like the habit of just doing that alone.
Yes.
You guys all know I'm the queen of habit change, right? Like just practicing saying no or standing up for yourself is huge.
Right.
But I've learned over the years, when I was 213, people judged me, and they gave me so much shit when I was overweight, and they judge me now. So guess what? I can't please anyone, whether I'm fit and skinny and sexy, or I'm overweight and depressed. So I'm like, screw everyone. I'm just going to do me for me. And that is attractive. That is very confident. 100%. So with that meaning, Jen, of like a woman standing in her power.
Yes.
I want to know about a time in your life where you had to boss up or stand in your power to overcome a difficult situation.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest stories that resonates for me in terms of maybe really stepping into my own power was actually how I arrived at my ideal client, which was me. And so at 40, I had been in this private psychotherapy practice, had started it all the way from a very dream seed all the way into this really thriving and successful, high reputation practice. Mm-hmm. And from the outside in, everyone was like, Jen's got it. My friends would literally say, Jen's got her shit together. Jen knows what she's doing. Jen knew what she wanted to be when she was in the womb. Like literally people would come at me and in the most loving way, kind of make these statements about how I was always really put together. And I thought, boy, number one, I hope you know how human I am on the inside, because I'm not trying to fool you. Trust me, I'm as human as the next woman. But also, it was really lonely, because when things started to feel like they were coming undone, and like the training wheels were coming off the bike, and I was like, what is happening? I would have said to you very early on, it's so funny, I was reflecting on this just this morning. If someone had said to me, what's your purpose, Jen? I would have said to work with other people. And I think that's so great. And it's not laughable because it's not funny, but I love that that's where I started. And that's too small for my purpose. And so I love when I work with women getting to kind of shift gears. But at that time, I was in this practice looking like I had it all. And I literally hated going into work. It was really sucking the life out of me. It had just lost its oomph along the way, and just a whole host of different things within the practice itself, the environment, my own growth and journey. I think I had honestly, and this sounds terrible, and I don't mean this in a derogatory, I think I outgrown it. I think I had like up-leveled myself out of that practice and what I was really meant to be bringing to people. And so it was kind of this general melees, like sadness. And if people know me, I'm so vital. That is trippy. Like if you know me, you know how like positive I am, how much humor I bring. I'm still, again, put my pants on the same way as everybody else, but I tend to show up to the world with a really vibrant personality and like just a really great sense of energy around me. Right. And so when I said to my husband, I was like, what was it like? Cause you're living it. When you're living, it's like the forest with the tree thingy. Like you can't really see it. And he was like, yeah, it's like, you just weren't as present. Like you were doing the things, but there wasn't the same level of enthusiasm and presence as you always brought when you were really in the game, when you really felt so excited about what you were doing. And one of my very favorite final straw stories that I love to share is I was at my office. I treated both teens and young adults, and it was one of my specialties for my entire practice. Had this really beautiful young woman I was seeing. She's like, "Are you okay?" I thought I was like looking around me like, "Yeah, I think I'm fine. Wow, what's up?" And I thought, God, I hope I didn't say something snotty or something. She's like, "No," she's like, "You just don't laugh as much anymore." And I was like,
God, isn't that like a mic drop
scene.
moment? You're like,
oh
wait,
no,
what?
it was like legit, like, and scene, like done, like I'm done. Like I totally, the minute that someone could reflect back to me that vitality was going down, I'm like, I gotta do something. And so even though it took me a lot of time and so much agony about, I built this, responsible people, here's the mindset stuff I'm sure we'll talk about more today. Responsible people don't just up and leave. Responsible women stay even when it's hard. I have people that rely on me, right? I mean, I had 9 million reasons why I should stay, and not as many except for how I felt personally for why I should go. And what I had to learn was that was the biggest reason. And so, right, the biggest reason was actually respecting myself and giving myself that permission to listen to what I knew in my soul to be true. I just was trying to ignore it and push it away. And so it was a tough road. I really wasn't talking about it with anybody because, again, my people all thought I like had my shit together and my like life was made, like I was living the dream. And in many ways I had great success, and that was really true. And even if I was high achieving and successful, I still felt out of alignment. I felt like shit. Yeah. And so I was like, this is not any way to live your life. I mean, a big portion of what we do is work, right? Yeah. And I was like, life is too damn short to show up to a place every day that I'm like trudging in. I had to like literally like set myself up every day before I would see people. I was just like, it's too much energy. And at one point I loved it. It was the dream. So that was really truly a fact for me at one point in that journey. And it had just gotten really far away from that. And that was really the pivotal moment for me of changing the way that I saw it, that I had to value myself first. Yeah. And give myself that permission to say, this isn't what you're meant to be doing anymore. You're being called to change gears and do something different.
Yeah. And you guys, I love that. She mentioned so many great golden nuggets in there, but like that smack of reality, like hit her with someone else kind of giving her that, like, hey, you're not your normal peppy, bubbly self. Like what's going on? Right. But you guys, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how Jen maybe shifted from that one career and into the amazing, purposeful life, fulfilling life, the work she's in now. So we'll be right back. Y'all, we are back, and today I'm talking with Jen Zen-Olson. She is a purpose coach, and she is the founder, I believe, of Laughing Lotus. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Jen, where can people, after they've listened to your story, they're going to listen to some strategies here in a minute, but where can people find you?
Yeah, it's probably best to look on my website, because that's kind of the home base for all the things that I do. So if you want to go to laughinglotuswellness.com, it's a mouthful, laughinglotuswellness.com. That's where you can find me and ask questions and check out my content, things like that.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And you guys, that'll be in the show notes. So scroll down below after you've listened to today's show and find it and go contact her. Literally, like, she's amazing. Go stalk her like I have. So we just got done talking about, Jen's story on how she had to have like this boss up moment, how she realized that she was no longer feeling very fulfilled, and how she had to redefine what success kind of looked like for her, right? Because she had it all, right? Her friends were like, oh girl, your life, your career, your business, your family, you've got it. Why are you complaining? Why are you showing up half-ass every day? Blah, blah, blah. But she wasn't in alignment, and she wasn't feeling like she was probably bringing this amazing purpose to her work anymore. And we've all been there. I mean, we all have. As entrepreneurs, we feel that every day. You're like, I don't know if I'm still supposed to be doing this on a hard day. And then the next day you're like, yes, I'm living the best life. Like, so we do feel that. But I am curious, how did you really make the transition? How did you shift or make those lane changes, like you like to call them? What is a lane change, first of all? But then how did you do it?
Right. So what a lane change is, like, a big boss up move to me. So women who boss up are aware that they're being called or tugged to do something different. And for some of us, it means a pretty drastic shift. So mine was a pretty drastic one. For some women, it just means that we need to tap into some other areas of their lives, really highlight that purpose and find some ways so to make meaning in different ways where they are. So every single woman's a little bit different, but really it's just that knowledge that it's like, I need to do something different for my life than where I'm sitting right now. And so I'm going to empower myself to listen to that and start making choices to move and shift, because where I'm being called isn't in this same place anymore. So so I just love those. That's like my favorite piece is watching women sort of veil this beautiful piece of knowledge where they're like, oh yes, I know I'm being called, I'm scared to leave, but I know I have something bigger on my heart that I'm ready to do. So I love that. And that's all it means. Like I said, everyone's different. So some of them are really drastic and some of them are kind of like staying in a similar lane, but we just make little shifts for you to kind of pull you back into alignment.
And I think that that's a beautiful saying, right? Change lanes, because we're all, most of us are all adults listening to today's show, and we've all drive, we all make lane changes, and and me, like I make the drastic right turn and just hope to God that everyone gets out of my way. But like you said, everyone is so different. Every woman is so different, and really that comes down to probably a lot of fear and limitations, things that you help them unpack, because you can either, put one foot in the pool or you can jump in. However you do it, you're going to get there.
Exactly.
And you're going to experience that. And that's a beautiful thing. So I love that you call it lane change, because I can literally see myself. Blinker. Okay, I feel good over here. Blinker. Feel good over here.
Exactly.
It's my first time on the freeway. So, so how does one know? I mean, to me, it's obvious because I've heard it, but I am a coach, so I listen really carefully. How do you know if it's time to make the lane change?
Yeah, it's really about the level of joy you're bringing to what you do. And so when I had so much passion and creativity early on in my private practice, that was how I knew I was in alignment. I was excited to get out of bed and go to work. So if you're doing that, dreading Monday, praying for Friday, living for weekends, you are like unmotivated, you're finding excuses not to go to work. Maybe you're having a glass of wine every single night to kind of numb it out. You're not as present to your family. It can slip into places where you're noticing headaches and stomach aches and physical ailments. It might look like anxiety or depression. I mean, so it really kind of morphs into something where you're really lacking joy, and it's just not feeling like you are as passionate and excited. And that's how I would really want every woman to feel about their work, right? You're just not feeling it anymore. And so it's come to a place where you really are at odds. I said, at one point my dream was this grand vision that I had, and it became my worst nightmare. So if that's what you're living in, where you are just tapped out and you're exhausted, and all you kind of experience is dread and all of these mindset like struggles every day to kind of, tricks and tools to kind of get yourself out of bed to go to work, it's time to look at what's going on and make a different decision, whatever that looks like. It's time to do some lane change of some kind.
I love that. Because you use, coaches tend to use words that are like coaches use, like misalignment. And you're like, yeah, but what the heck does that even mean?
Exactly.
Like what is misalignment? But alignment means that you are literally in the lane you're supposed to be in. You live your life, you're waking up, you're excited, you guys. So, and I remember that, gosh, in my corporate job, like I was like, I'm showing up wanting to talk about other things versus what I'm paid to be talking about. Can you talk about your health and fitness and your habits? And it's interesting. I'm going to ask you, I read a statistic in a quote, said 99% of people who fail have that habit of making an excuse. So with that said, because, I'm a big no BSer kind of coach, and I call out those excuses when I hear them, and people either love that about me or they don't. But what would you say the biggest excuse is that you hear in your industry when you're like, okay, you can see them on the other side of the fence, but they're not quite ready to change the lane? What's the biggest excuse they give you?
They're afraid. They're afraid of letting people down. They're afraid of failing. They're afraid of, responsibility that they feel and perceive that they have. Sometimes they're afraid of failure, or succeeding. But I see more kind of mature women that have done their work a little bit. So I don't see quite as much of that. I don't see that, some of that stuff we have early in our career. Sometimes it's really more, I'm afraid to leave. what I know works. I'm making bank.
Mm.
I'm already have a name and reputation. So for me, when I did this, I started over. Right. So for some women, if you're making a big enough lane change, it can feel like you're starting over. Starting over at 40 is freaking scary.
Yeah.
Right. So I understand that's a lot of what I hear is the fear-based ideas and that kind of scarcity. So we have to do a lot of mindset work, and we have to go in and really unravel some of those old stories and beliefs that women have that are really holding them back. And that's some of my favorite. It's so juicy. That work is so fun because you can see the women get clearer and lighter as they do it. Right. It's so profound. But I think that's kind of probably the biggest thing I hear is I'm afraid of all the things that this means for me.
And you guys, most people are going to, I mean, they're at the end of the day, they're limiting beliefs.
Exactly.
But when you really look at these limiting beliefs, what you believe to be true, like I feel like I'll let someone down, like all these things. That's why I call them like the harsh ways, like they're excuses, right? But inner, right, they are limiting beliefs. So I never downplay them. Lord knows I've had plenty of them. I've actually learned like to boss up, which to me means just like take that courageous action. But that is a habit as well, right? I didn't come out saying, yep, I'm just gonna go do this and just do my thing. So you kind of mentioned mindset. It's one of your favorite things. We do this through coaching, you guys. There's not just like some 5-step, here's a process, write it down, and boom, your whole life changes. But you mentioned mindset and coaching and all that great stuff. So what are some of your favorite tools that can help women maybe make the lane shift, or step into alignment, overcome these fears? What are some of your favorite tools that can make powerful shifts?
Yeah. So I would say that definitely, some of the pieces are looking at the psychology of where someone is. So we're talking mindset. So there's quite a bit of that process, that is something similar to what I would do in therapy, although this is not considered therapy, what I do, but that's a really important piece. So it's really releasing a lot of the garbage, which I love because it's like creating a clean slate. And then what we're doing is we're going to go in and get a ton of clarity for a woman about what her talents and gifts and skills are, so that they can really step into that space, really starting to hone in on what their absolute purpose is, which means that we're looking at an energetic essence. It isn't a task. So helping kind of unravel some of even those beliefs, right? It's like not just a thing you do, like me. It's like, oh, I help other people. That's not a purpose. That's a behavior, right? I mean, like, yay for me, but like, that's not your purpose. So I love that part because it's really about helping women get so freaking clear. So clarity is queen for me. And it's helping women really like get their arms around that piece of it, creating their own personal mission statement, creating their own personal vision. And sometimes if we have enough time, we start helping them really elevate into that space. So there's kind of 5 steps that I walk women through, that each one has like pieces of journey, but really it's using that psychology, meditation, energy healing, sound healing. It's all of my tools that I have in my bag, and every single woman's going to receive something different, which is really what's fun about the coaching is each woman's going to have a completely unique experience, and they get to hand choose what they really want to do out of those services. So it's kind of a neat concierge sort of buffet style of treating people, which I absolutely love because it's so fun and it's so creative.
I love that. Okay. So biggest piece of advice, because everything you mentioned pretty much says, go work with Jen, go work with the professional, right? Invest in your well-being and your purpose. But if they can't invest, because we do know some women are not ready financially, which is a limiting belief too, by the way, y'all. But if you cannot afford someone like Jen or myself as a coach, what's the best advice you can give them so that they can start to step into alignment?
Yeah, I think it's really about personal development, personal growth. And so one would be, podcasts, like listening to you, it's things like engaging in that, audiobooks, reading, taking classes and events. And the other big piece for me that I'm super passionate about for women is community. A big BossUp action is supporting other women. And so that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But I really believe that we also need to be surrounded by community that see our vision and say, hell yes for us. So it's not just us trying to do the work in the dark. That can be very lonely, right? And difficult and challenging. And so really finding great resource around you to help hold space as you're ready to step into that transformation.
I love that. And I could not agree more with Jen. So many people come up with these excuses when they want to lose weight, they want all these things. And I'm like, well, you know what? There are free resources out there, podcasts, books, journaling, right? Just sitting down and getting curious about why you're thinking, these things.
Right.
These are all big things. But I listened to a meditation today that one of my mentors gave me. And it's funny because you said it earlier, up level. The whole idea was say yes to up level, right? You have to give that your permission to up level.
Yes.
Sometimes, so if you're looking for permission, ladies, this is
Here
your sign.
Exactly.
Jen and I all give you permission, whether you believe it in or not. So you guys, you don't have to have fancy equipment to lose weight. You don't have to hire the trainer. You don't have to invest in the coach, but you do have to take ownership of your actions and your life, because you walking around telling yourself you don't have the resources is BS, in my opinion. So I'll call it like it is. But Jen, thank you so much for being on a show. You've been a fabulous guest. I'll definitely bring you back on when we have more time to really dive into that discussion. But you guys all know I am your weight loss expert and habit change coach. And if you are looking to boss up in your health, like literally change your healthy, your healthy eating, your healthy exercise plans, your healthy mindset, and your thoughts. If you're ready to boss up and get healthy and get fit and stay healthy forever, I would love to help you. I am so proud that I have helped thousands of women confidently break free from their health limitations and become unstoppable, so that they can truly, step into that purpose. Because sometimes we know we're meant for more. We've even got great clarity, but we're like, damn, I don't have the energy to hike up the mountain now, So I would love to help you get fit so that you can, then work with Jen and just really step into that power, step into the best version of you. So y'all, I would love it if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave me a 5-star rating and review, and then just drop down below if you're listening. What was your biggest aha or your takeaway that you are going to really, take away from this? Like anything, knowledge is power, but, applied knowledge, meaning actions, are going to speak way louder than all the knowledge you could ever hear. So drop in, the chat below what your favorite part was, what your aha was. And with that, I wish you all a very beautiful day. Enjoy the day, stay thriving. And Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you, dear. It was awesome to spend time with you.
Thank you for listening to Boss Up Babes with Carissa Adkins, bringing you tangible tips and expert coaching advice to help you boss up and get healthy. Tune in every second and fourth Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific on transformationtalkradio.com for interviews with industry leaders and powerhouse boss babes that will empower you to take action and live your best life. If you're ready to boss up and work with Carissa in one of her transformative group coaching programs, visit 365dailyhustle.com.